Hello everybody, I'd just like to use this video and show you my project car here. This is a 1979 Triumph TR7 Convertible. My mom bought this car from its original owner in 1983. She drove it until 1990, and it was then put in my granddad's barn. And this spring, March of this year, we pulled it out of the barn, and now it's in my garage being restored. I don't have a very professional garage though. It has low ceilings, so I don't have a lift, which stinks sometimes, but I have ramps to put it on. And it's the winter time now. It's getting cold out. I don't have heat in here, so I don't work on it much during the winter, so I put some stuff around it. But whenever the spring comes, this will all be gone, and I'll be out here every chance I can get. So this car is painted a color known as Richelieu Red, which is a rare color because it was only made available for the 1979 year. This car also is a convertible. Don't see many TR7 convertibles. I've only seen the fixed heads. So I'll start with the interior here. So since we got this car, we've been out here a lot over the spring and summer, and we did a lot to it, fixed a lot of problems it had. One thing we did with the clutch, that was actually frozen on whenever we pulled it out, and so we bought some new kits to rebuild the clutch master and slave cylinders, and we put those on, and now the clutch is engaging and disengaging flawlessly. The transmission, since it has a clutch, has to have a manual, right? It's a 5-speed manual. 5-speed. There's actually an option on this car. Also, down with the clutch pedal and the brake and everything, pedal box has some nasty rust on it. Not sure how it got there, but we took it, stripped it, and painted it black again. As you can see, it's completely rust-free now. And also, you can see all the dashboards out, heater, vents and things, radio, glove box, all gone. The electrics needed some evaluating. Since this was in a barn for so long, I think some mice must have got into the car and chewed up a lot of the wires. And there's also a Lucas electrical system. For those of you who know British cars, you'll know that Lucas electrical systems aren't really the best in the world. So it had some electrical problems, and we're still working on that. We got the starter to turn, but it's not coming out and disengaging. I think the solenoid that's on top of the starter is dead, because it says online whenever solenoid engages, it will push out the gear. We've been getting the starter to turn over using a trick my friend taught me, where you can take jumper cables and attach one end to the battery and one end directly to the starter, and it will just feed current directly into the starter without having to go through all those wires. And yeah, it needs some cosmetic attention done. Sun visors need replaced. Seats are torn in some places. But there's no really bad things that can't be fixed in here. Also, the emergency brake, we had to do some work with that. The cable was rusted back to its bracket back there, and we had to take that off. We painted those brackets, and they're on now, and the e-brake isn't attached right now, but it should work if we were to hook up the cables again to its mechanism. We haven't put on the new roof yet, but this is the new roof here. There's the old one, and this one has a back window. The old one doesn't have a back window. Somehow that fell out a while ago. But whenever the spring comes, we'll lay this in the driveway on a sunny day and get it hot and stretchable, and then we'll have to stretch it over the frame and get it mounted onto the roof. Also, there's not much rust on the body, which is very good. Even though this was in a barn for 10 years or so, its fenders are all straight, perfect. There's no rust in the wheel wells, no rust underneath the doors. It's very, very nice. Underneath the car, there's a small bit of rust in some places, some worse than others. The exhaust system, for instance, has got some considerable rusting going on with it, but that just happens from driving it around in the rain. The floors are pristine, which is very surprising and also very relieving. No rust on the floors, so don't have to worry about that. There were some mice living in the trunk here, so we have it open to air it out, you know. You can see this fender is slightly lighter shade of red. See there? The guy that my mom bought this from, original owner, he was in an accident with this car. It wasn't his fault. Someone actually came out of an intersection and T-boned him in this fender, and he had this one replaced at some point during its life, and so all these other fenders are original from the factory. This one has been replaced, and so it's been on the car less, and it's had less chance to, you know, fade from the sun and everything. Shot the interior there. Take a look at the engine here. This is where he's done the most work. I'll start over here. Took out the windshield wiper motor and the wiper drive. You can see the windshield wipers are gone. And that's because there was like some panels back here. I guess they're like access panels for the cable that drives the wipers. And they were really rusty. And I guess whenever like the rain comes down, they run past that and rust it pretty bad. So we took those off. We painted those black. And they're all done. They're just not back on the car yet. We got a new battery about a few months ago to try and turn over the starter. What else have we done to the engine? Done so much. This has an iron block and an aluminum head. So yeah, the block's a bit rusty, but this is all surface. What really stinks though is I can't get into it with like a wire brush or something. Clean it off a bit. This car had dual Stromberg carburetors. They were sat here and here. Took those off a while ago. They're very good. They're not clogged up with gas or anything. The jets are all clean. Floats work. And, so we just took them off to get to the inside of the engine. We did a check a few weeks ago, and the engine is not seized up, which is a good thing. We just had someone push the car down our driveway and check to see if the crankshaft pulley was spinning around, and it was, so that's a good thing. It will need the oil changed eventually, though. Pretty old oil. Alternators down here. There was a smog pump right here. You know, a smog pump pumps air into the exhaust to burn up any leftover gas. We took that off. That was a bit rusted. Trying to find a new one or a rebuild kit. This hose was actually for the windshield wipe washer pump. You know, and a mouse chewed this part off, and the reservoir for the fluid sat right here. We took that away. That's gone. We changed the spark plugs a while ago. We just wanted to check to see, because whenever we tried to take them out for the first time, it was very, very difficult to turn, and I was worried that they might break. So I sprayed a fair amount of WD-40 into the spark plug holes and gave them a turn, and now they turn with your fingers, so that's a good thing. I used a tool called a spark plug chaser to clean out the threads. Let's see what else have I done. Well, I've done something with the steering down here. There's a bushing that's right here, where this part of the steering column comes out, and it was broken in half actually. And so if you would like grab the steering wheel, you could move it up and down with your hands, and it's obviously a safety problem. So we got a new one. It's just a really badly made one. It's made out of plastic, so it breaks pretty easily. So I put a fair amount of grease on it, and it shouldn't be breaking now. Had to take off the steering though to do that, and it was very difficult getting it lined up again. Had to make some marks with a metal punch on it to get it lined up, and the steering is perfect now though. This car is rack and pinion steering, by the way. As you can see, the radiator's missing. The actual engine radiator was easy to take out, but this car is air conditioned, by the way. It has factory air, and there's a separate radiator for the air conditioning. It's actually over there, right there. And that was hell to get out. It was rusted in place practically. It just wouldn't come out, and then one day when we were just banging on it, it just drops out of the car. So yeah, the air conditioning system's going to be a bit of a challenge to get going again, but it's important to the car, and it will definitely help whenever it comes time to sell this car. We took off the ignition coil, sat over there. This car does not have mechanical ignition somehow. This is the unit right here for the electronic ignition. which is kind of strange, this being in 1979 and computers not really being used yet, or microprocessors. So this car does have electronic ignition, so it's a good thing I found that out, because I was about to order a new set of ignition points for it, but then I found that it has electric ignition. So took off the ignition coil, and we're trying to figure out all those electrics and everything now, and Lucas Electrics, you know, it's proven to be a bit of a challenge. There's the new clutch cylinder. We took off the brake, master cylinder, and the servo. This car has power brakes. The servo sat right here, and the brake master cylinder came out to here. Right here was a pressure reducing valve. If your front brakes were to fail, this would route all the brake fluid back to your back brakes, so you'd still be able to stop the car. So it's basically just a safety feature, but we took that off because it was in the way of a few things and needed some degreasing, you know, things like that. Need some new spark plug wires too. Mouses have chewed up the spark plug wires, which shouldn't be too hard to replace. There's lots of NOS spark plug wires and aftermarket ones, so we'll definitely get that taken care of. Taking out all the hoses, you know, for the heating and the air conditioning. There was an air heater hose that ran from here over the head of the valve cover to the carburetors, and that was to heat up the air. I never even heard of an air heater hose until I got this car. It's kind of strange, but that's one thing they have. This car did have some engineering problems whenever it first came out. Some systems I've come across are really strange. It has a strange hood release too. And if you've seen TR7 commercials and everything, they're emphasizing its wedge shape. That's what it looks like, as a wedge shape. The headlights, I had to put those up manually to get access to some of the radiator components. There we go. Oh, this car doesn't have a dipstick either. That was actually rusted away. It's going to need some new radiator hoses and things like that, you know. It'll need the oil changed. We're trying to find out how to change the transmission oil, but we found a plug, but we're trying to figure out how to refill it up and stuff. It's very strange. Well, I think that's it for my TR7 project. I hope to have this car running by next summer. Not necessarily a concourse car, but it will run and drive. It'll just look like Joe Dirt going down the street, but yeah, that's my car. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll probably do another video eventually of it. Bye.